morning, class. My name is Bamishebi Samson. I'm the e-tutor for this course, and I have a co-partner, which is Mrs. Adigo, who will be joining you from section 3. But in this section 2, I think I've brilliantly explained the overview of a computer system. The general overview, I've explained it in section 1, unit 1 and unit 2. But in this particular section 2, we are going to be talking about computer components. That is under this introduction to computing. We are going to be talking about computer components, which cover the learning outcome, the hardware component, the system unit from the inside of the system, back, disk, floppy, then disk maintenance. We are also going to cover auxiliary equipment, the voltage stabilizer, the uninterrupted power supply, the air conditioning. Then we are going to talk about the input and output device. Then we will be able to summarize this course. So, like I said, this is section 2. Then the objective of the course still remains the same thing, whereby we expect the student to be able to have the basic understanding of the computer historical evolutions, then understand the components of the computer, and then being able to identify the various type of computer software and then application. Then at the end of the day, we expected the student to also have a solid understanding of computer programming, then student to be able to recognize and value the areas of applications. Then, like I said, computer components. I don't know, maybe some of you will understand what we mean when we say computer components. So, your personal computer, now we are talking about PC, your personal computer, be it laptop, be it desktop, be it workstation, be your phone, be your palm top, be your laptop, be whatever it is that is considered as your personal computer is called PC. It is actually a group of independent components because you only see it. Let's take your phone for example now. What you see is that you see your phone, but there are a group of components that makes up a personal PC. So those components, you are the leader of those components. So some of these elements are necessary, while others just make work more enjoyable or effective. You can perform a wide range of operations with your machine by adding new elements. So when this phone comes out, we initially have different phones, but now we have smartphone. In this smartphone, the first thing after your on button, which is a power button in a PC, in a system unit, this is your on button. It's your power. It's the power button on a PC that you will press in front of that PC. Then, like all-in-one system, there's a power button that you will use on your laptop. There's a power button that you will. When the power button boot up, for you to be able to see what is in the system, you need an LCD or you need a display devices. Those display devices in the olden, the initial one that we have was cathode electrode that use gunpowder, that use electronic gun, sorry. So whereby it's more or less like a bus that were used in the olden days. So, but now you have an LCD. You understand what I'm saying? A flat screen. Some of us will call it TFT, depending on the type of that is where you will be able to now follow other instructions that will make you to be able to direct and make use and utilize all the essential components inside your PC. Because what is inside your PC, apart from your motherboard, this phone has a motherboard. It has a motherboard. Then the laptop has a motherboard. The system unit has a motherboard. Where all other component is plugged into. This motherboard sends signals to all the other components to be able to communicate with one another. Power, PSU, which is your power supply unit, your your RAM, your processor, everything, your audio, your floppy disk, your disks, your hard drive, every other thing has to go into your motherboard for them to be able to come, including your peripheral. So then I said, as the name implies, the auxiliary equipment is not a computer, but it is required in a computer environment to enable efficient operations of computing activities. The significance of the equipment like the air condition, the voltage stabilizer, the uninterrupted power supply, and the line transformer in a data processing environment will be covered in some details in this module, because the system generates it. So in an environment whereby this system is used, most of those auxiliary devices are needed, like air condition is needed, voltage stabilizer because of unusual supply of current, and you need a stable current, that is the current that going to your system should not be more than 220, depending on the country that you find yourself. Some countries use 110, depending on. So you need a stabilizer that can step down the voltage or multiply the voltage. That's why you need a stabilizer. Then you need a USB. You understand something? That is, once the light or the source of power goes off, something must be retaining the power before you finally shut it down, so that your work cannot be shut abruptly. That's why you need a what? Uninterrupted power supply. That's why you see your phone comes with battery, while your laptop comes with battery, your palm top or your iPad come with what? Come with battery. But why your all-in-one, some of them don't come with battery, so you need a UPS. Some come with battery that can retain light for something. So devices are connected to the system unit are considered computer peripheral. Do you get me? Like your mouse, your mouse on the phone comes with the phone. So, but in your laptop, you have the touchpad. Then we also have you have your USB where you can plug external mouse to. The same thing goes to your workstation and the desktop. So in that sense, the gadgets are required to make sure the computer can accept inputs and show the user outcome. Consequently, the input unit and output unit are covered in this section. So, are you with me? So the learning outcome, you can see, are listed here. That is, after this particular section, it is expected that the student should be able to do what? They should be able to identify the components that make up the input unit and the output of the computer. Then they should be able to do what? Discuss the significance of auxiliary equipment to the efficient operation of computer center, and identify the auxiliary equipment in the computing environment, and to be able to explain the function of the input and output unit of the computer. And at the same time, the student should be able to do what? To identify components of computer should be named and allow all explanation of those components significantly. So these are what is expected that by the time we round up this course, a student should be able to know all those things. So now we come into hardware environments. When we say hardware, computer components, hardware. When we talk about hardware, what are we talking about? We are talking about system units. We are talking about hard drive. We are talking about monitor. You understand? We are talking about different components that makes up a system. It's called hardware. We are even talking about PSU. You will be talking about RAM. You will be talking about processor. So these are different components that a student must be able to identify, and you must know the function of each of those components. So when we say I said, well, now let's take system unit for example. A system unit is a component primary component other devices connected to, and it is referred to as peripheral, whereas it is the computer itself. It might be thought as a chief conductor directing the activities of your PC. So what we are saying is, in essence, is that system unit, it is the main board where it comprises your motherboard, your hard drive, your CD-ROM, your RAM, your processor, your sound card, your network card, your what other peripheral is there, your power supply. It comprises everything in the system unit. So some people will now mix it up and say, where's my so they mix it up. They don't know that system unit is the main body of the computer. So they will now say CPU. CPU is just one component. Central processing unit is just one component, which is known as processor. It's just one component inside system unit. But many people don't know. So they miss CPU for system unit, which is not the same. So how do you identify system unit in your phone? Let's take phone for example now. Apart from this screen, when you remove this screen, every other thing that remains is your system unit. Do you get me? The body that you understand, the casing that contains your motherboard, your battery, and your sound card, your camera card, everything that is plugged, or every other thing, including your own button, they are your what? They are your system units. Do you get me? The same thing goes with your laptop. If you remove the LCD, the monitor, you understand, the screen, every other thing that is inside that laptop, including aside your keyboard, every other thing that is there, your touch pad, everything is plugged with your motherboard, and they are inside this casing. They are called your system unit. Same thing goes to your all-in-one, but in a desktop that is not all-in-one, that has a separate monitor. Are you getting me? And has a box that contains all those things that I have just mentioned. Your CPU, your CPU, your motherboard, your hard drive, your RAM, your every other that is system. That is the box. That one that they used to put on the floor. So you can be able to identify it when you hear them. So it is composed of a number of parts, including motherboard, processor, board, memory. You can see they mention everything that's inside your PC. So PC stands for personal computer. It refers to a general purpose computer. You know, we talked about general purpose and what? And what? And specialized computer. So general purpose computer designed for individual use by an individual user, typically in a home or office. PC are versatile computer devices that offer a wide range of functionality and are widely used for various tasks such as work, communication, entertainment, and more. You know, when you go to this thing, you will see the DJ. They will put their laptop. They will use it for such a thing. If you go to an office, you will see a staff with his own PC using it for different operational purposes. If you go to bank, you will see the bank tellers using it to carry out different transactions. If you come to an educational setting, you will see them using laptop, desktop, all these things to deliver lecture. So a PC is used for various range of operations. So then, so if anybody now asks you what are the components of a system, of a component in a system unit, if somebody asks you what is the component in system unit, inside system unit, you should be able not to miss it again. You should be able to tell them that CPU is there, motherboard is there, CPU is your processor, so the motherboard is there, RAM is there, all those things that's inside. So that is it. So a simple definition for a system unit can be, I've said it, it can be called the main enclosure or chassis of a computer that houses the essential component necessary for its operation. It is sometimes also referred to as tower or case of a desktop computer. The system unit provides physical protection and organization for internal components and facilitates the connection of external devices. The reason for system, okay, now can I put hard drive in my pocket, put motherboard in my backyard, put, I can't be carrying all those components disjointedly. So I need something to house them so that it will be easier for me to connect all other peripheral like printer, like mouse, like joystick, like keyboard, so like USB, every other thing that I want to connect, it will be easier, like speaker, all those things I need to. So turbo button. Have you heard about turbo? Do you get what I'm saying? Some computer lets you to choose the speed at which they can operate. Typically, a turbo switch is like on to, you understand, enable the computer to do what? To operate at a certain speed. Do you get me? So now, we are talking of random access memory. It is utilized for a computer. It is turned on and running a program to store things like the application and its data, but whatever stored in the RAM is gone when the computer is off. You can see RAM and ROM are two different things. RAM is read-only memory, while RAM is random access memory chips. So which allow the user once the system is powered, every application that you want to run on that system, you bring it on the RAM. Once you click on those applications, that application comes to the RAM. It works like our brain. Our brain also has permanent and temporary storage system. So any information that we need, like I want to deliver this lecture now. So I want to remember everything that I know about this lecture. So my RAM will be searching for those information from my permanent memory, which is my brain. It will be bringing it to my temporary lobe at the front of my brain. We have medulla oblongata, we have the brain is divided into three. We have the forebrain, we have the hindbrain, we have the forebrain, we have the midbrain, then we have the hindbrain. The hindbrain is the one that is connected to our vertebrae, where our medulla oblongata is. So those three sections of the brain works together. They work simultaneously without we human being noticing how they exchange data. We human beings just know that we deliver those information, but we don't know how those interchanging, all those operation takes place in our brain. So the same thing goes with this. The RAM will fetch the data from the hard drive and bring it on itself for operation. Either you want to edit that information, or you want to delete that information, or you want to add to that information. Once it brings it, you'll be able to operate and process that information. And when you are processing the new information, you are doing it on the RAM. You understand? It is only when you store that information that that information goes to the hard drive. Those information that are not stored cannot be retained in the system. You understand? Especially when the power goes off. That's why you need UPS, you need a battery, so that when there's no power source, you will be able to do what? You'll be able to manage how to retain and store those information before you lose them. So some RAM, so look at it now, they say unoccupied RAM chip slot. You can increase the memory, no. So that is why when you open your system, your laptop for example, you will see that there's another space for you to be able to add and then increase your RAM size. It is also in the CPU. It is also in your phone too. Some Android phone that comes now, maybe it comes with 2 gig. They will say you can take out of the main memory and add to that 2 gig to make it 8 gig so that the RAM can function very fast. The purpose of expanding your RAM is for it to carry out multiple operations without dragging. A system that is running low of memory will continue to drag. It will be, the dragging will start showing. So in order for that dragging not to take place, you need to do what? You need to have expandable RAM. And as you are expanding your RAM, you have to also expand your operating system, because if your operating system is low, are you with me? It will be very difficult for that operating system to take advantage of expanded RAM. So let's say you are running 8 gig on Windows 7 32 bits. It will not be able to take advantage of the entire RAM. But when you are running it on 64 bits Windows 10 or 64 bit Windows, you will be able to take advantage of the entire RAM storage to carry out operations. So these are some of the things that you need to understand when you are dealing with computer components. You need to understand how the operating system works. You need to understand how all those components work, so that you will be able to take advantage of those components, so that some of them will not be underutilized. You need to understand all these things. So in this thing, then I said you can increase the memory on your computer by inserting additional RAM in your module. These are things that are just explained. The same thing goes to in the olden days when we want to expand our, as we are expanding the RAM, we will also need to expand our processor. We have processors that are just maybe 2.2 gigahertz, because processor is measured in gigahertz, while the memory is measured in gigabytes, in bytes. Do you understand what I'm saying? So as you are expanding your hard drive, your storage, you also expand your processor, maybe to 3.0 gigahertz. But now we have every system that come with more than one processor. You have core. That's when we now have core i1, core i2, core i3, whereby we now have multiple processors that allow parallelism and allow those things to function effectively. I hope I'm making sense here. So this is how RAM looks like. You can see the picture on your screen there. This is how RAM looks like. This is how processor looks like. This is pin processor. Now we have pinless. You understand? If we expand this thing very well, we will see the gigahertz of this Intel processor. But look at the RAM. In laptop, the RAM is not as long as this. This is DDR RAM. We have we have SD RAM too. Do you get what I'm saying? So all these things you need to understand them, so that we have pinless processors. So you need to understand them when you are actually dealing with them, so that you will not be mixing them up. You understand what I'm saying? Then some of other components that we have on our, hello, are you there? On our system units, we also have the hard drive that I've just explained to you. The hard drive, I explained to you that hard drive is also a storage device in a system. Your computer main permanent storage device. The hard disk can carry out a considerable quantity of data and program. The information on the hard drive remains there unless you tell the computer to overwrite it. And the hard disk is damaged, unlike data stored in the RAM, which is not affected when the component is shut down. So what they are trying to tell you in a simple fact is that your permanent storage system, where you have everything stored, is in your hard drive, including your operating system. Your OS is stored on your hard drive. So your hard drive contained all the permanent information on your system, either on your phone. So that is why when you put on your phone, you have your picture, you have your stories, you have where you keep your data, you have all those things that you store on your system. It is only hard drive that makes you to see them. Every other thing that is not stored, you can't find them. You can't find them. That's why some system write off. You will not see them again. So the same thing applies to, let's say you are working on Word or you are working on Excel, and probably the system shut down. There's still what we call retainment buffer. We have buffer, we have cache, where information can be kept temporarily. In the RAM, the cache is built and buffer is built inside the RAM. So they still keep those information temporarily. After some time, they discard it because they have no power to store that information unless the information that is saved on your hard drive. That's where the hard drive comes. Then the motherboard is a fiberglass known as the mother SAS, and it's based for all the computer electronics part. Each component is isolated from every other component because fiberglass does not conduct electricity. So the electrical circuits of the computer are made up of pins connected by thin metal line on the surface of fiberglass. So you see, it's the fiberglass which allows all the components to be connected into it so that it can communicate with one another. And he isolates most of those components, and all those components is connected by a pin. You can see when you open your phone, if you have been to a phone repair before, you will see where camera is connected to. It is by pin. Where your battery is connected to on that fiberglass is by pin. Every other component that's a camera, it is by pin. So you note this. The same thing goes to a system. If they open a system casing for you, it is the same thing. All these cables were connected by what? By pin. So you can see this is hard drive by the left. See the way hard drive look, a big hard drive. In the one inside laptop is smaller than this. The one inside your iPad is smaller than this, while the one inside your phone is smaller than this. Do you understand it? The one inside your phone is even on the board, on this motherboard. Look at all the components on this motherboard. Look at where you put your RAM here. This slot, you can see it's 3 slots here where you can add see where your pin, the socket for your CPU. This is where you put your CPU. There are places where you put your floppy drive. Look at this battery here. The battery here is called BIOS battery. So all these things you can see where you are. If your hard drive is there, these two yellow blue and black pin that is beside this IDE connection. This is where you are going to connect your IDE. You are going to connect your hard drive. Do you see the chip setting? You see all these things that you see there. There are places where you connect everything, including your power supply unit. There are all those pins that is here. That is where you put all those slots. Then they are trying to tell us about type of CPU here. They said CPU from Intel Corporation was clinical. So in the following year, the PC have received increasing power of, then the PC CPU are all members of what? 80 times 86 processor family. Like that, like that. So these are just type of operating system. So then we have your floppy disk. Information is stored on disk. So before the flash drive comes in, sorry, before we have the invention of flash drive, what we have before is floppy disk, where you copy your data and keep them. Then as time goes on, after floppy disk, you can see how they explain floppy disk. After floppy disk, we have disks. You understand? CD. Then we have the DVD, where you copy larger file. Then the invention of what? Invention of flash drive comes in. So these are things. The voltage stabilizer, I have explained the purpose of when turned on, a computer starts off in a cold state, warm, and then gradually transition to hot. A computer is heated, condition when you see, constantly looking for something to do. So we have noted that computers are built to operate within a specific range of voltage. In the United States, I told you it's 110 volt, and in Nigeria here we use 220. So they build those computers based on the region. Do you get me? Which allow us to look at low key, the use of the button to reset. The system unit now has a low key, has a button, has a reset button, has a power on and power off. The drive for floppy disk. So this, but no problem. Let me just jump this process because let's move on to. With this, we have come to the end of this class, and we have the pilot question that come with it, which is how does a CPU work? So I'll be able to set down for you on the elements, then you'll be able to at least respond to them. So with this, we have come to the end of the class today. Thank you, and we'll follow it up with the other class.